E360 TV proudly presents messages of inspirational stories. Live streaming now to millions of devices, including Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, Android TV, YouTube Live, Facebook Live, with your host, Donna Guimwa, producer and host, Jim Grant, producer and host, along with Michaela Vidal, administrator and host, and Gaia Guimwa Balconi Wada, editor-in-chief. And welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. We're so glad you're here on this Friday. My goodness gracious, women in leadership. We've got a young lady on the show today, and she's going to share a lot of information about people, starting their business, especially in the world of real estate. Joana Zuppas will be joining us in just a moment. But our show is proudly brought to you by the good guys at the 6minutewebinar.com. And as you very well know, you've heard me talk about the 6-minute webinar. It's a wonderful place for you to start to organize your thoughts, to be able to write a book, give a presentation, or how to promote your product or your service, because your thoughts get organized. And if you've been following the show, on Mondays, about a month ago, we had Rick Cesari on several times. And Rick is the marketing guru behind GoPro, George Foreman Grill, OxyClean, all those great commercials. And we invited him to try the 6-minute webinar, and it blew him away. He said, this is really amazing because you can take the average person and get their thoughts centered around the nugget of the information they want to get out there. We're also brought to you by my good friend, Mr. Bill Heinrich, The 7 Levels of Truth. And he wrote this book here. His website is True Life Purpose Now. You'll be seeing it on the tickers. It goes on. Bill Heinrich, this book here took 30 years in the making. And I'm just going to share with you, if I may, the first line here on the back of the cover here. And it says, this book is for anyone seeking answers, solutions, and success in life. Listen to this now. Our birthright is to have abundance and love and joy and peace in our life. And I can tell you right now, I've read this book. This is his second edition, I should say. And he asked me to endorse to make a little comment on the back cover, and I was very honored. Also, a good friend of mine, Mr. Austin J. Haynes, he invited me to be part of his book, Your Health Turnaround. This is me and about 10 other authors in there, and my subject that he wanted to share with them was the lessons from the heart from my heart attack that I had back in November of 2021, open heart surgery, 4 bypasses, and all those good things. And I tell you right now, it was a wonderful experience for me because I was able to correct a very a condition in my heart that could have been, it's serious. It's called the widowmaker. Wonder why they call it the widowmaker. But I tell people it was a blessing in disguise. And also, too, if I may, real quickly before we bring Joana on board, I've done a lot of research about the heart because I had no symptoms. My LDL was 73, blood pressure is 120 something, over 60 something. There was no red flags. And I found out that a UCLA study back in 2009 said 75% of the people who wound up in the ER with a heart attack are just like me. There's no red flags. And I tell people it's a blessing in disguise. I had the minor heart attack. It's a blessing in disguise. I mean, have the surgery, because I was able to correct a hereditary condition known as the widowmaker. And I found out if you're worried about your heart, check out the weed dandelion. That's all I'm going to say. A lot of cardiologists have quit prescribing the traditional statins for the heart because of the side effects, and they're jumping on board with dandelion. I drink 2 cups a day, and that's all I'm going to say. Just do your homework. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to bring this young lady on board. We've had her on the show before. She was on the radio show, I think about 3-4 years ago, something like that. I'm not sure. Joana, welcome to the show.
Hi, Jim. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure to have you. And you're with us, tuning in from Orlando, Florida.
I am.
We're so excited. Joanna and I met through a common friend of ours, Lieutenant Colonel Mark Green. And
Yes.
I was trying to think before the show, and memory. When you get to be 74, a lot of things fade in life, and one of them is memory, and the other one is anyway. But I can't remember the project we were involved with. It was a. Do you
It
remember
was a
much?
it was a website
Yeah.
that Mark was creating
Uh huh.
with kind of people who are at the top
Mm-hmm.
giving advice on how they got there.
Mm-hmm.
And it was almost like an educational website where you could choose a topic or choose a
Mm-hmm.
speaker and then listen to them and get your information.
Yeah. Yeah. When you said there are people from the top, I'm kind of thinking, well, why not get invited for? Oh my goodness. And
He
Joanna,
was
you're
gonna do rotations, I think, of different
yeah,
people.
yeah.
Yeah.
He was scraping the bottom of the barrel when he invited me. But I remember the first time I talked to him, we visited. We're both former military. And a lot of people don't know where Fort McPherson, Georgia is, or Fort Gillem, and it's right at Atlanta, very small place. And I was stationed at uh, the fort's there, and he was too. So we spent an hour and a half talking Army stuff, and then I finally said, "Mark, why did I call you?" That's how wrapped up as we got in our subject. But let's hear about you. You live in Orlando. You're in the world of real estate. And let's start back with originally where you're from and how you came to the States, and just take us on a little journey there and let us know a little bit about Joanna, please.
Sure. I actually love how I came to the States and my background. I was born in Albania and left when I was 6 years old at 1991.
Hmm.
And that's when communism fell in Albania. And if you read anything about Albania, you'll kind of notice that it was a really strict, harsh communist country for about
Hmm.
50 years. And so for us to leave, and we essentially escaped Albania. My dad, he was in the plaza, heard that the Italian embassy was allowing people to leave the country because you couldn't enter the country and you couldn't leave the country. The communists had it on lockdown. And he heard it and he just came home, ran home, told my mom, let's go. And
Hmm.
one suitcase and just ran for it. And
Wow.
yeah, the Italian embassy took care of us for 2 weeks. And then we went to Italy, lived there for about almost 9 months. And then we had an uncle in Florida, in
Mm.
Ocala at the time, and he was able to sponsor us. And so he took us in and took care of us. And then 1991, Ocala, not much there except for, horses and retired
Hmm.
seniors. And so not a lot of job opportunities. And
Hmm.
we came down to Orlando to just start over.
Mm.
So my whole
That's
family's here.
beautiful. Yeah, that's beautiful country down there. And it's really amazing the journey, because I find that people who have left, countries that are very dictatorship ruled and that sort of thing, they come to this country and they embrace the freedoms that we take like oxygen. We just like, well, you just go out and breathe, you got freedoms. But they
Right.
don't really appreciate the freedoms that this country has, because let's be honest, everyone everywhere wants to be free. They want to live their own lives. They want to make their own decisions. It doesn't matter if they're rich or poor. I mean, I've been in third world countries, and people that they just want the basics in life, and everybody wants to be loved. Everybody wants to be liked. Everybody wants to be appreciated, and everybody wants to be respected and left alone. That's the basics of it. And if you follow the show, you've heard me say many times, which is true. I grew up on a farm in North Carolina, and I tell people, I didn't know we were poor till we went to town. But what we were rich in were the things that money could not buy, nor could a thief steal. And Joanna, for example, it's really amazing how you get into the world of real estate. And I'd like for you to share a little bit about how real estate attracted you, number one, and number two. Then we'll get into the nuts and bolts of opening your business and all, if we may.
Yeah, absolutely. So me getting into real estate is actually a really funny story because I did corporate America. I worked in New York for a really long time. And after 6 years, I felt like my soul had been sucked dry because
Yeah.
New York is just such a place where you just go, go, go. And no one ever says, maybe you should take some time to recoup and self-care. That's not even a mindset there. So I came back to Orlando to be near my family, and I wanted to buy a house. I knew I was going to be here. And I didn't know any real estate agents because I had just moved down. And I just was looking at homes online, and I just picked the first agent that I wanted to see that home. And she was the listing agent. And so I went to look at the home with her, and I kind of just stuck with her because I didn't have any other option really. And we went to a new construction development site, and I saw her once and I never saw her again. She just was the worst, like was not there for me through any of it. Didn't even remind me that I had a closing on a certain date. Just pretty much abandoned me and just made her money, and then never saw me again, never talked to me again, and didn't do anything through the whole process.
Wow.
And through that, I was just like, there is no way this woman is gonna be in business and work like that. That's horrible. So I was like, I know I can do it better than that. I know I can be there for people and do a better job than that.
Yeah.
And that's what actually inspired me. And 6 months later, I got my real estate license.
Okay. Yeah. When you first started sharing the story, I thought you was going to go into the area where this lady became a mentor and all that. And then just the total opposite of that. My goodness
total
gracious.
opposite. Yeah. I learned that that's not a way to run your business, and that's not a way to treat people. And real estate is a people business. And
yes, it is.
You're not even selling houses. You're selling yourself and your relationship. When I help people buy a home, I'm literally talking to them every day. I almost become their best friend. And sometimes it's funny because after talking to them every day for months, people afterwards text message me. I was like, oh, I miss you. We're not talking every day like we used to because we didn't need to. And so it's those relationships that really matter.
Oh, yeah. Emerson Brantley is our marketing director here on the show with us. And Emerson is a great guy. And he talks a lot about building marketing relationships first. He says, because having a relationship, just like Joanna's talking about there, it's very, very important because there's a lot of people out there that, they like to be in business. And, we've interviewed people on the 6-minute webinar, and we asked them one question. What is it that you want to do? You know what a lot of them say? Make money. That is the worst answer on planet Earth, because the money that you receive that you've earned, that's after you've earned it. Right. And that should never be your goal in life, because if it is, you're already spinning your wheels in the mud. And when it comes to having the desire, see, Joanna right there, she took a disadvantage, she turned it into an advantage. And a lot of people out there, you folks out in TV land, you may have an idea of you saw something, you're like, wow, if I was, that wouldn't be me. You may be like Joanna here. You may take a disadvantage situation that didn't work out well or just left you hanging, and turn it around and say, I'm going to take this rough piece of coal here and I'm going to make it a diamond. And that's exactly what this young lady has done. And she's also going to, at this time, go into the nuts and bolts of, opening a real estate business, and just anything you'd like to share with us. Just the mic is yours.
Absolutely. Thank you. I think at the beginning, it was a little bit new and I was cautious. And so I actually, for about a year, almost 2 years, kept my Xerox job while I was building my business. So I was actually working remote in my Xerox profession. So it was a beautiful opportunity for me to get the salary that I needed while growing my business. Because in all honesty, I swear to God, my first year, I made $3,000. Okay. If I had quit my job, and it took me almost a year to make that $3,000 when I was starting out, if I quit my job, I would have been dead on the floor because I wouldn't have had any money to do anything. So I think that was a really huge advantage to making the transition, just because I don't think people realize that, you see these real estate agents, you're like, oh, they make so much money and it's so easy. This is the hardest job I've ever had in my life. Most rewarding, and I love it and I'm good at it, but it's not easy. And it took me 3 years to make as much money in my real estate job as it did in my corporate job. So either A, have that much of savings, or B, just understand that things take time to grow and it doesn't happen overnight. And it's not like this, some people do have maybe the network and that luck of making it after 1 year. But most of the agents that you talk to, it took them some time to get to
Yeah. I remember back in the 70s, a couple of friends of mine, they're a husband and wife team. They started out in real estate, and he said for the first 9 months, I think it was almost a year, we were poor as church mice.
Yeah.
He said, but when we were a team working together, but then they became very successful. But I mean, the thing that I like what you said there, Joanna, is that you determine, okay, this is my goal. This is what I'm going to do. But in the meantime, I'm going to make sure the home front, the bills and everything is taken care of. So I don't have to worry about that. I can focus on the positive aspects of being a great real estate agent, and certainly being a total 180 from that lady that you first met. Well, look at the bright side. You learned, firsthand all of the things that you didn't want to have in your business.
Absolutely.
Attitude, lack of compassion, because everyone, and I know this to be you from a little bit I know about you, everyone wants to deal with someone that cares about them. That's not there just for the money. They're
and
there
people
for,
can sense that. I mean,
oh,
I know that when I get into a desperate mode where I'm almost like, oh my God, I have to make this sale. All of a sudden that sale becomes really hard. And everything that I didn't want to happen, all of a sudden starts happening because I'm in that stress mindset. And it's that moment when I shifted to, how can I help? What do I need to do to make this easier for you? All of a sudden, things just start going the right way.
That's exactly right, because in Bill Heinrich's book, I keep talking about Bill, but Bill is, he's taught me a lot, and he's only too much younger than I am. So, at least, everybody's not, everybody, no matter how old you are, you need a good mentor. But Bill talks about following the energy. Don't ever make decisions, make options, because as you travel along and your focus is on others, how can you bless them? That's when the clouds start to separate. The tension goes down, the stress, the worry, all those things that you don't want that really, eat up your energy, it goes downhill. And that's exactly what, Joanna's talking about there. And I admire that in you. I really do. And, talking about, opening up your business there and all, and, you use your inner strength and intuition, and you let that guide you in the process of your business, don't you?
Absolutely. And in all honesty, also, I harnessed and leveraged mentors.
Oh, yeah.
So I work for Keller Williams, and they have an amazing training program. And I took any training program that they had. And also I had coaches, and sometimes I had 2 coaches, because there was some coaches that are more focused on result, go. And there's some coaches that I also need is the spiritual side of it. Some coaches
Yes.
kind of take that bigger picture
Mhm.
and the personal and business side, because in all honesty, if my mindset isn't right and if I'm limited in the way that I view the world and what I can do, then my
Mhm.
business suffers. And I noticed for
Oh,
that
yeah.
first year, I had to have that conversation with myself. Why am I not growing the way that I need to grow? And
Mhm.
I realized it was my thought patterns and what I
Oh,
thought
yeah.
I could do, and the belief
Mhm.
in myself and all my insecurities came out.
Mhm.
And that's when I started getting coaches and
Yeah.
life coaches, all of that. That is all money well spent.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And our subconscious minds, they're still trying to figure out how mine works, if I got one. But realistically, it's amazing how the subconscious mind controls us.
Absolutely.
It's like we're the puppet, and it's got the wood stick up here with all the strings on it because your subconscious mind will not let you fail. Think about
Yeah.
that. What you believe, what you think will come to reality. It's just strange like that. And I'd like to share one point, if I may. I was on a show here, and I'm trying to think. If I remember the name of the lady, Susan Pilkington. That's her name. And I was talking about, sometimes when I still, every single day, ladies and gentlemen, I have my list of things that I've got to get done. We all have our list. And for years and years and years and years, at the end of the day, I would punish myself.
Mhm.
And I wasn't thankful for what I got done. I looked at the things I didn't get done and go, man, come on, Grant. And I says, even today, sometimes when I do something dumb, I say, Grant, you moron. And she corrected me on live TV right there. And she says, Jim, don't you realize what you're doing? And I'm going like, didn't know I was doing anything. She says, you
Right.
are programming your subconscious mind. And
Absolutely.
that's not good. And I'm glad she corrected me on that. Because anytime we get corrected or anytime we have good mentorship in our life, it enables us to go and grow.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I tell myself what a good looking, handsome guy I am. And somehow or another, I don't think my subconscious mind believes that.
Okay, don't believe the other
hey,
stuff. Don't worry.
hey, yeah. It believes the realistic stuff. But, also too, I'd like for you to share a little bit of, you shared a little bit about how you keep working on yourself and your
Mhm.
guides. And also too, how do you also help share that with others to help them go and grow? That's very important too, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and it's funny because I started doing a lot of yoga and meditation because I
Hmm.
started realizing that when I was doing my yoga and meditation, my capacity to handle life
Mm.
expanded tremendously. And not
Hmm.
only to handle life, but to handle people, to
Huh?
handle my anxiety, my worries, anything that was
Hmm.
keeping me down.
Hmm.
So that has been a huge part mentally of me being able to grow my business and
Hmm.
to sustain my business.
Oh, yeah.
And also, I started teaching yoga just one day a week. I just do it because it's fun and because I
Hmm.
love it. I teach Kundalini yoga, which is the kind of yoga that I just fell in love with and has really helped me progress and release any limiting beliefs that I had.
Yeah.
And I share that with people, and
Oh, yeah.
it's really helped me.
Yeah, it's a wonderful thing when you share your blessings with others. That's just when it just keeps flowing in on you.
Yeah.
And we've all known people in our life that are very self-centered, and they're only focused on what I call buttering their own bread. I know a guy that he's a nice guy. He's got a lot of talent, but if there's a funnel of money going into his pocket, he's the greatest guy on planet Earth. But if
Hmm.
you talk about taking that funnel out of his pocket and putting someone else's pocket, trust me when I say that boy gets very unfamiliar with the English language
Yeah.
because he's just only interested in what's in it for him. And
Right.
people like that, they cheat themselves out of the true riches of life. they're never happy. And one of the most, the things that really brings me joy is when I, help out. I help out with charities. We have the food bank and all that. And, being able to help someone in their hour of need and the gratefulness that that they give back. It's so precious. Like I say, the really precious things in life, let's be honest, money can't buy. It's too valuable. Even if we had all the gold in Fort Knox, if there's any up there. But really, and I'm glad it's that way, because that way it means that the real person with the right heart can afford it.
Mm-hmm.
But the person who is in it for money is not even for sale there. Wow.
Right. Well, and I also think karma kind of comes back to them.
Oh,
If you
yeah.
treat people kindly and with respect and with
Oh,
care,
yeah.
all of a sudden people are treating you kindly and respect and with care.
Mhm.
And, sometimes when people kind of tell me, oh, I've been bamboozled, someone took this from me and all this kind of stuff, I look at them and I say, well, what have you taken from someone?
Yeah.
And what have you bamboozled someone with? Because it's a mirror. Life is a mirror, and you can
Yeah.
choose to blame other people, or you can look at yourself and say, how did I contribute to this?
Absolutely, because everything that you give gets amplified.
Absolutely.
And you take, for example, when I go somewhere, I walk in a store or see someone coming out of stores, I'm going in. It's just my nature to smile and say good morning or good afternoon, something like that. And I always get a smile back and usually a reply. People here in Texas are pretty friendly anyway. But if I walked in looked at them going in the store and went, that would just really upset them. And that would get dominoed down the line. And I always enjoy teasing people and having a sense of humor. When people know me well, just between us, they say it's a lack of sense, but that's okay. But I like
Maybe
to go
it's better
in.
that way.
Oh, yeah. I like to go into stores and, especially young kids there, because I like playing jokes on young kids. I do. I'm guilty as charged. You can nail me to the cross on that one. I'm guilty. I'll look at them. Oh, yeah. I'll look at them and I'll pull out my wallet and I'll say, do you accept out-of-state cash? They'll look at me and I'll say, okay, well, I'll use this here then, And you ever try this sometime, see how well people listen, because that's something that we all need to work on, is listening. And go into a store like at Christmas time and the little greeters there, young people there, welcome to, wherever, whatever, and I'll say, is it too early to start my Christmas shoplifting? Oh, no, sir, you go right ahead. But I do that just to see how well they're listening, because it's amazing. And that's why in communication, you need to make sure your message is clear. And that just vibrates. And I know the kind of person Joanna is, because in knowing her several years, I haven't known her personally per se, but I know that the energy she vibrates, that's her heart. That's who she is. It comes natural. And I admire you for that. I really do.
Thank
and
you.
Whenever you talk about how you keep working on yourself in your inner dialogue, I think we hit on that a little bit when I was talking about, Grant, you moron or something like that. And I got corrected on live TV, which is which is fine with me because I'm very comfortable with that. But your inner dialogue, when you say that, would you share that with us a little bit, please?
Sure. And it's funny because when I started my journey into really looking at what my thought patterns was, for 6 months, I was in so much agony because I'd be driving in my car, listening to my thoughts. I took the time to observe what was going through my head. And I was just like, wow, I can't believe I say that to myself. Or I can't believe I think that about myself. And all of this stuff that you don't even realize has been lodged into your subconscious that is running your life. And you don't even realize it because haven't taken the time to really look at that, and obviously we all have a fear of failure. What if I'm not doing enough? What if I'm not, talking to people enough? What if this isn't going to work? Like, we all have those insecurities. And it's like taking that and just being like, oh, okay, I see you, I hear you, but that's not how I'm going to live my life. I'm going to just leave you there, and I'm going to think I can do this. I am.
Wow.
And it's really funny nowadays when I start having anxiety, or when I start having worry thoughts, I go on YouTube, I put on a meditation, guided or whatever, and I sit for 20, 30 minutes, and all of a sudden, whatever I was worried about shifts. And the outcome that I want all of a sudden pops out of nowhere. So I've learned worrying is not going to get you there. Quiet your mind first.
Yeah.
And stay in that space.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because as you were talking there, Bill Heinrich, he actually, I knew this, but times when you're talking to one and they're sharing information with you, it kind of like you see the light. Okay. And he said, because I was telling about some of the aggravating things I was going through, and I don't like people that use and abuse, okay? And there's users out there, and they look at your kind, they'll look at you as being weak, when really it's a strength. We all know that. But Bill taught me a secret. He says, Jim, love them enough to let them go. If they don't serve you, love them enough to let them go. And I go like, wow, that's true. I never really thought about that. But it's the simple little things like that, the nuggets of truth, grounded in love and service, that really just kind of like it's kind of like, bing, the light bulb goes off and I'm home. Here I am, But yeah, and that's very important in our lives, because also too, Joanna, one of the things that we've talked about on the show too, we say at the end of the show is that, in our love and compassion for others, we can forgive others real easy, but many times we don't forgive ourselves. We kind of want to hang on to that just so we can just, it comes natural. At least it does for me. But this is another thing that, Bill has shared with me in his knowledge in his book. And he's a true mentor to me, and he's really helped me in many areas, because I'm an old Vietnam veteran, 31 years in the military. I got this certain mindset that's, it's, you just get that. I think it comes in from the camouflage into your DNA or something. I don't know. It's above my pay grade. But realistically, it's important to understand when others are sharing information to you. You got to be open-minded. And that's when you are receiving, and be willing to accept criticism, constructive feedback, and, being able to have the love of yourself enough to forgive yourself. Ooh, that's critical. That was a hard one for me to tell, and I'm still learning that lesson, folks. I'm going to night school on that every day.
Absolutely. And I think also, you get addicted to the pain, right? You get addicted to the drama. So it's really, when you create that anger or that frustration or that, it creates a hit in the body, and you get like a liveliness from it. So all of a sudden that drama becomes a way to get your hit. And so you become addicted to that instead of, and which reinforces the pattern that you've created with your mindset. And that's when you have to notice that. You have to notice when you're in a moment of addiction, emotional addiction, in order to choose something else.
Oh,
so, yeah.
That's really important. It really is. And, I followed you on Facebook, and I'm very poor on social media. I mean, people tell me, Jim, you got all these TV shows, you got all these radio shows, you should be on social media, this and that. And, we're working on that right now, and we're hiring some people to do that, because that's not, I like to be in front of the camera and talk and just with people. And after that, it's kind of boogie on to something else,
Right.
But to give myself time because doing 6 live hour shows a week, it takes a lot of time and energy. And I'd like to, have you share with the folks there, let's take it back into the real estate area of expertise, because that is where you shine. That is where everything that motivated you to become to the person that you are today. And if someone is out there, especially ladies that have thought about real estate, and I'd just like for you to share from the heart, just whatever comes to your mind about that, because there's people out there that's interested in that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what's funny? You dabbled on this. If you're going to do it for the money, you're just not going to succeed. Like you actually need to love what you do, and you need to love being around people, and you need to love problem solving, and you need to love going above and beyond, and you're going to need to love following up with people, right? You're like intrinsically what makes a difference between a good real estate agent and someone that only survives 2 years is the fact that they have it in them, right? And I didn't really know I had it in me until I started. But then all of a sudden, as I'm doing this and I'm letting go of my limiting beliefs, I realize that this comes naturally to me. So if I'm sure there's plenty of people that it maybe doesn't come naturally to them and they force it. But then how are you going to live your whole life forcing something that you don't enjoy?
Amen.
I think this was a huge mind shift for me, because when I was in corporate America, my belief system was you do something because it makes you money. It makes you good money. And you don't even have to care if you like it. You can hate it. It doesn't matter. You're making money. And I did that for 10 years. And I was miserable for 10 years. I went into work every Monday being like, I hate this. This sucks.
Yeah. Amen.
And for 10 years. And I've never had that with my real estate career. I've never woken up on a Monday being like, I hate this. Sometimes I wake up thinking, this is a tough situation that I need to get through. And I need to align myself better. I need to grow in order to be able to hold this capacity as a person. But I've never gone to work thinking, I hate this. Like, why the hell am I doing this?
It's amazing, because what I'm hearing you say is that whenever a problem or something difficult or something unpleasant you got to deal with pops up, you kind of like
Oop, you muted yourself, Jim.
I accidentally.
There we go.
Am I back on now?
Yep, you're good.
I did something with my mic. Go ahead and talk a little bit. I'll figure it out.
I can hear you. You're perfect. It's good.
I don't. Oh well. Anyway,
can you hear yourself?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, all right. But whenever I hear you saying, whenever a problem comes up, difficulty or something unpleasant, you don't want to. You don't want to, but you got to handle. Your attitude to me is what I'm picking up is that, okay, reason why this problem came to me is because I'm the person to handle it in a subconscious way. And that should be the attitude of everyone.
Yeah. And it's so interesting, just the problem solving skills that you just grow from it. And, and it's interesting because I look back at some really hard situations. I mean, I would say 95% of my clients are really amazing people that I loved working with, but there's that 5% that really tested my patience, who I was, and growing from those situations and learning how to handle that has like the growth that just in the 3 years that I had when I started real estate as a person, the amount of the growth that I went through. 3 years didn't happen for 10 years when I was working in corporate America.
Wow.
And just like the belief in myself, like, wow, I can actually do this.
Yeah.
This is,
I got
this.
I love the way you put that because that brought back some good old precious memories from me and many, many, many baby boomers and Generation X and whatever, all those generations in between now and back then. But we were brought up and people just said, go to school,
Mhm.
get a good job, get a good education, get a good job, be set for life.
Yeah.
There is no place on planet Earth where that, even though it sounds nice, there's no place on planet Earth, anywhere in the world that I know of, where you could take that principle and take it all the way to the bank. But I love what Joanna's talked about there about being, she did, follow this, making a good income, working in corporate America, but she was miserable. She hated it. And because if you love what you do and it fits your persona, comes naturally to you, you're going to be successful.
Yeah. And
I
for
mean, it's
so long,
just,
I was doing something that came unnatural to me and
oh,
thinking that
yeah.
I could succeed in it.
Oh, yeah.
It's the opposite. You need to do something that comes natural to you and you will just naturally succeed at it.
Early in my career, I got into managing, into sales. I working in a department store, and I was given a store that ran in the red for 3 consecutive years. A work store, I should say, ran in the red for 3 consecutive years. And within 6 months, I had it, in the black. And everybody's saying, "Hey, Jim's a natural. Jim's this. Jim's that." Jim was miserable. I mean, I went through the motions. I did what I had to do. I knew what needed to be done. And I did it because, being a good worker, you should earn your paycheck.
Yeah.
But deep down inside, I was just kind of like, walking in the door, of the place where I was at. It was just kind of like I was breathing air, but I wasn't getting any oxygen, and I was miserable. And that's a clear sign that you need to dee bop on out of there and find something else because, a lot of people are that's a dead end job. Money has nothing to do with it because you can't go and grow it. The only way you can go and grow is when you're being nourished on the inside.
Absolutely.
And if you're if you're going to work dreading it like you're going to the dentist, and you ain't got no Novocaine or anything, you're not gonna, your life is going to be miserable, and you owe it to yourself to live a life of love and abundance and happiness and joy and peace. I mean, goodness gracious, like I tell people, when me and my wife, we've been married 51, 52 years, something like that. So they tell me, my buddies do, she deserves a medal. I don't know what that means. But the one thing that we do, we live in peace and harmony. Now, back when I was younger and a lot dumber, sometimes I wound up doing some hard time in the hacienda because of my stupidity. But I'm just not into, when you go home, ladies and gentlemen, your home should be your haven. Your home should be a place where you feel secure, you have peace and joy, and you can take a deep breath and relax. And Joanna, and I think this is very true from what I've heard her say today. She's not interested in selling houses. She's interested in selling homes. Now that's a lady I want to do business with there, brother.
Yeah, I love that. That's perfect. That's exactly it. And also it's one of those things where if you're just there to sell houses, like it's interesting because when I'm helping a buyer buy a home, a lot of the times I know when the home is right for them. Like all of a sudden, like the energy just clicks, You'll go and see 10 homes and they'll just be like, they'll have that hesitation. But I know when to say, almost like not push them, but just affirm their feelings when they're it's actually, I like this house. And I'm like, yeah, I like it too, and I know when to be there for them when they actually like a home versus some people who just push a home, even though they know that that home isn't right for that buyer, but they just want to sell a house. Right? Like it's so, and it's funny because sometimes my buyers will be like, "Oh, I feel so bad that we've seen so many, but I just haven't liked any." And I'm just like, the moment you get into a house, you'll know
Mhm.
when it's the right home for you. And
Yeah.
if you don't get that feeling, don't waste your money.
Oh,
Like, it's
yeah.
just a waste of, and they'll feel an anxiety towards that purchase that
Yeah.
will inevitably ruin the deal anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because if they don't feel that ease and comfort,
Yeah. Because what I'm hearing you say there, and I really like, it's kind of like when you walk into the right home, you're going to feel that welcome home energy. You're going to
yeah,
know that you know that you know that your shoes and your clothes belong in that closet.
absolutely. And it's so true. And like, I just recently had she's a young buyer. She's a flight attendant. And we kept looking and we kept looking, and she has a lower budget. So obviously the house, a lot of the time the houses that she sees needs a lot of work.
Oh, yeah.
Just because of the lower budget. And we kept looking, and everything just, I mean, I didn't even want her in those houses, right? I'd walk in, then I'd be like, we need to go now. Like, there's no reason for us to even have this discussion. Let's just go. This is not the right home for you.
Yeah.
And then we went into this one house, and it was just like the energy was good. The space was good. It needed some updates, but I was able to get the seller to update the big stuff that needed to be fixed. And, we're going to close in 8 days.
Oh, wow.
So you just have to wait and be patient for the right fit for that person. You can't put your agenda on other people. And that the moment you try to put your agenda on other people is when your business will start crumbling.
Oh, yeah. What I love, what about you said there, ladies and gentlemen, just imagine if you were that young lady that she is showing these homes to, and she's showing compassion to her, and she's being honest with her. And think about how she felt that Joanna spent all that time with her, wanting to make sure that she met her needs. Because a lot of salespeople, they're not interested in meeting your needs. They're interested in your credit card or your checkbook, and Joanna's not, she's demonstrated that. You can see that through the camera. It just vibrates out there in TV land. And that is why, we have ladies like this on Women in Leadership, because she's definitely a leader, not only in real estate, but as a human being. And young lady, I got to salute you on that there. But let's talk a little bit about how the pandemic there hit you there in Orlando. And I'm just going to let you just share anything you want to about the Orlando real estate. And how many houses you got? Do you sell them by the dozen cheap?
Well, if it's the same owner, I could probably create a
Go ahead.
So the Orlando market was very interesting, because when the pandemic hit, and most of this was on the news, Florida wasn't really shutting things down. None of that was really happening, which in all honesty, I loved. I was probably afraid for a month or two when I wasn't really able to show homes, and, people were scared to go out. But after 2 months, pretty much everything just started moving and grooving, and it went really well. Last year was one of my highest, best years. And people started moving to Florida, to Orlando in general, just droves of New Yorkers, and Northeasterns, and California, and they wanted to leave the lockdown of their states and move down to Florida. And so prices started skyrocketing.
Wow.
It was so hard to get a buyer to a house, because multiple offers, people were outbidding each other. It was crazy. And this was kind of the dialogue almost everywhere, I felt. People were just in that mode, and interest rate was really low. So it pushed people to want to buy a home, just because 2-3%, that's almost free money. And then when everything started changing, in the sense that those states started, lessening their hold, COVID kind of died down, or at least publicly died down. All of a sudden, that drove of people stopped coming to Orlando. And so that crazy high demand wasn't there anymore. And also the Feds increased interest rates. So all of a sudden there's a shift going on where interest rates might be a little bit higher and they're still 5-6%, 7%. That's still a great interest rate. There's nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely.
But all of a sudden prices started dropping. So it was just, in all honesty, I think it's just equalizing, and an equilibrium is going on. Really low interest rates, really high demand, prices go up. Higher interest rates, lower demand, prices go down.
Wow.
Just normal, economics.
Yeah.
And so actually right now in Orlando, it's a really great time to buy because prices have dropped 50, 100,000, maybe more. Sellers are willing to do repairs, to do credits on closing costs, to actually work with you. Whereas during COVID time, they were like, highest and best, give me, whoever can give me the most money is the one that gets it. And that's not the case anymore, which is really great for buyers.
That's really important. I'm glad you mentioned that because, you can tell, ladies and gentlemen, there in Orlando in the real estate industry, Joanna keeps, abreast of the flow and what's going on. And she, therefore, think how valuable that would be to you if you're a home buyer, if you're thinking about going down to Orlando and buy a home. Think about having someone like Joanna help you to keep you abreast, because who keeps abreast of the real estate market or any other market that they're not in? Nobody. And if you start reading up on stuff, everything you read is not necessarily good information. What's that old saying? Abraham Lincoln proved you can't trust everything you read on the internet, But in the Orlando area, please share with us. You work for Keller Williams, is that correct? And
I do.
Where about you're located, and just anything about the physical location there?
Yeah, so pretty much I handle all of Central Florida, which Orlando's pretty big. There's it goes up from Winter Garden down to Kissimmee. I pretty much can do it all. Obviously, as a real estate agent, I will go where my buyers and sellers want me to go. I have access to the MLS, and I'm able to look at what I need to look at in order to help my buyers and sellers. But if it's in an area that I can't serve, I can also recommend a top real estate agent or a top Keller Williams real estate agent in that area. So you can reach out to me whether you want to work with me or you want to work with someone outside of my area, and I'd be happy to answer any of those questions.
Oh, yeah. Because, as we've seen her demonstrate here in the show here and sharing her information, her first concern is get to know you, get to know what your needs are, and to let you know, that you're in good hands with Joanna. And that's very, very important on all fronts, because if I'm doing business with someone, I want to know that I know they're not in it just for the money. We realize they're going to earn their expertise and their keep and all that, but they're not doing it as far as serving me just for money. They're doing it because they want to make sure that they meet my needs. And think about all the referrals. I know you get referrals from friends. How does that make you feel when people refer you?
Oh, I love it. And it's actually really funny because a lot of the times when I get referrals, it's when a friend has a friend that's complaining about the real estate agent that they have. Like this girl that I was just telling you about that we're going to close in 8 days. I had a friend refer me. And it was because she was like, my real estate agent doesn't pick up the phone.
Wow.
I can't like it's hard to communicate with her. She doesn't really help. She doesn't really try to like find me homes.
Wow.
And that's why she was referred to me. And it was easy to just swoop in and just be like, I got this, let's go.
Oh,
and
man.
A month later, we're under contract.
Wow.
So that's my favorite. That is actually like, I get a thrill out of that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like my other real estate agent just wasn't helpful. And I I didn't trust them, and I just didn't feel right working with them. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, yes, we got this now,
Oh, yeah. There you go. It's
Yeah.
really amazing. A good example of, I'm so proud of you for that, sharing it, and thank you so much. But a good example and a good reminder for us all is that how many times we want to call call place like a bank or something like that, and like yesterday I was going to talk to my bank, and it's online, of course, and get the AI. You can say anything like, I want to pay my bill. I want to talk to a human being. And they don't, and all of the options they give me, nothing about customer service. And then you got to keep on and on and on. Think how frustrating that is. And
Yeah.
to think about what a tremendous advantage it is for someone like Joanna to come along like a fresh breath of fresh air. Oh my goodness. And just say, hey, I'm here for you. I got your back. Let's make sure we, find the right place for you that will fit your needs. Oh goodness. Yeah, I got to salute you on that, young lady. That's another salute you're getting from this old retired Master Sergeant.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, our time is about gone. We want to thank you so much for tuning in today. And we're so thankful. We want to personally say thank you that our show has continued to grow out in TV land there. We're getting, it's over 2 million impressions a month on our show. And it has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with people like Joanna and other folks we have on the show. But realistically, we want to thank you. And we sincerely hope and pray that you and your loved ones are blessed in all areas of your life. And be sure and love yourself first. Then you can love others. Make sure you give yourself grace and forgive yourself. I know I'm working on that too. But it's a wonderful thing that we can both do. And on behalf of Joanna, I'm going to give you a chance to say goodbye to everyone out there in TV land.
Absolutely. And well, first, I want to say thank you to Jim for having this platform and this outlet for us. I mean, it's a real blessing to have someone support your business and to let you say what you want to say and help you grow. So thank you. I really appreciate that.
You're more than welcome.
Yeah.
And all the folks out there in TV land that wants to buy a house in Orlando, we got the young lady here for you.
Yes. And probably the easiest way to contact me is through Facebook. And so we have my handle there, and it's just Joana Zuppas Real Estate. And you can message me and I will answer as quickly as I can.
Oh, yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you again. We really appreciate it. And most importantly, be sure and love yourself. We stress that a lot because that's so important, because everyone wants to be loved. And if you love yourself first, then you can love others. And we'll be back on Monday. We hope you have a wonderful weekend. Take care of yourself. And from my Army buddies out there, try and behave, okay? We'll see you next time.